Hey, can you guys hear us?
Mhm.
We can hear you, and we are live.
Awesome.
So, good evening, everyone. And this is Black Breastfeeding Week. And we are rounding out the week with a very special conversation tonight, in my opinion. The big question that I keep hearing, that we all keep hearing, is what role do partners, specifically Black men, play, not just in breastfeeding, but in Black maternal health? So I'm very excited tonight to talk to two couples around their experiences with breastfeeding, and also so excited to partner tonight with the Jackson Safer Childbirth Experience. And so, Tara, I'll let you talk a little bit about the Jackson Safer Childbirth Experience before we get started.
Okay. So guys, hello, how are y'all? I'm so thankful to have these two lovely couples here tonight talking. I am the program specialist for the Jackson Safer Childbirth Experience, and we're a project focused primarily on providing the community birth doulas. They support in any capacity, starting from the pregnancy and then the birth and then the postpartum support. So thank you all so much, and I'm so excited for the conversation that's going to happen tonight.
Thank you, Tara. And also, we didn't talk about it, but jump in just as you see fit.
Okay.
So tonight I want to first I'll introduce y'all like I know you, okay? And then I'll let you give your formal and professional introductions if that's what you would like to do. So I will start with Rachel and DJ. And guys, y'all don't get sad. I'm introducing your wives as I know them. So Rachel is my sorority sister. We went to Mississippi State together. She is my sister's line sister, an amazing woman, and it's been so good to watch you come into motherhood. And Lake, I'm older, so Lake is much younger than me. We are from the same hometown, and just been excited to watch her grow through all different stages of life. And Lake is also our marketing and communications person, so all this amazing stuff that you've been seeing come out is a product of Lake's talents. And so we are glad to have you on our team as well. So, Rachel, I'll let you start, and you can introduce, you and DJ introduce yourselves.
Oh, okay. Hello. So as Keitra shared, my name is Rachel, and I am a first-time new mom. I don't know if you guys can see baby Kaizen here. He just turned 12 months. As far as professional career, I've been in the social work profession for the past 10 years, and currently work with children and families at a charter school district out here in Houston. Yes, and I'm also equally excited to be a part of this conversation. I have had many interactions and experiences with mothers and motherhood way before I was a mother. And my interest was initially piqued about breastfeeding when I worked for the Young Mothers Residential Program out here in Texas, Project Row Houses. And so when I was introduced to the idea of breastfeeding, it was something that I knew I wanted to do. So I'm really excited to be a part of this conversation tonight.
And hi, guys. I'm DJ, Rachel's husband, as you can predict. I'm in the IT world. I'm a Salesforce administrator. I've been doing that for about 5 years. I don't know what else I need to say in this intro. I haven't been researching breastfeeding. My wife's been doing all of that. She gives me the insight, and I just kind of follow through on that. So nice to meet you all.
Well, that's why you're here.
Yeah.
So you can tell us how she's been telling you to fall in. Lake and Meiko.
Hey y'all, I'm Lake. I am a graphic designer, a mom. Um, in my past life, I was a DJ. Um, Meiko and I, we've been together since 2013, and we've been married since 2017. We have two boys, and they're still in diapers. One, we're trying to get them out of diapers, but um, our breastfeeding journey has been very interesting.
And I guess we'll get into how long we breastfed later on. And that's all I got. Meiko, your turn.
My name is hello. My name is Joe. Uh, Everything that Lake does for 6 dimensions, I probably taught her. Um, no, I'm a graphic designer. I can't. It's hard to hang a hat because there's so much that I dabble in. Trucking. By trade, I'm an insurance adjuster. Right now, I'm selling collectibles. It's just pretty much anything you can name, we do it. Um, but I'm very interested in hearing what DJ has to say about his journey to see if it's comparable to what we dealt with on our side. So I'm excited about this talk as well.
Thank you. And we are here for all the different things that you like to do. And also Tara and I both have been breastfeeding moms. My journey has been over. Tara, I don't know how long your journey had, or are you still on your journey?
Oh no, ma'am. No. I'm probably a year free. So probably in the next year or so, I'll probably be at it again, but I needed to take a break.
Yeah, I'm with you. I ain't gonna say in the next year or so, I'm done with it. So thankful to hear you all. But so this is the 10th year of Black Breastfeeding Week, and we've done events all over the week around Black breastfeeding. We have so has the Jackson Safer Childbirth Experience, and you can go back and watch their live around doulas talking about it. But one of the big things that we like to do, number one at 6 Dimensions, is make sure that families are supported through policy. And so that means mom going back to work, the policies at work are supportive of her breastfeeding journey. I always say I had great employers both times I breastfed. So I got to put a note on my door. I was in an office and could pump and store my milk just as I needed. But many women, especially if you're in retail or any other setting, it's a little bit harder to do. And so we continue to try to push for policies. And then we also want to reframe the narrative around breastfeeding with the Black woman. And so we always link what we do to history and how we got to where we are. The stats will tell us that Black women don't breastfeed at the same rates as other women, but that is true. But that number is like 84%. And to me, that's a good number. 84% of Black women at least initiate breastfeeding. And so if we can help people continue to maintain that through partner support, through the work that we're doing, we'll keep that. I mean, that 84% sounds good to me. As long that's closer to 100 than it is to 0. So I'm encouraged by that. And so we know that history really has a direct impact. Our ancestors were served as wet nurses. And so that means that as enslaved women, they weren't able to breastfeed their babies. They had to breastfeed a slave master's baby. And so I just truly believe that has a generational impact on the breastfeeding rates among Black women and sometimes our disconnect. And so I'm very thankful for tonight's conversation. So let's just jump on in. So for the mamas on here, we have one first-time mom, and Lake, you are twice a mama. And so how long did you or have you breastfed? And then what's one word or phrase that would describe your journey? Either one of you can take that.
Yeah. So, oh yeah. Sorry. I'm still currently breastfeeding. It's definitely not at the same rate that it was when he was, 6, 7, 8 months. So we're currently at 12 months of breastfeeding, and one word: exhausting. Yeah.
I'll take it. Lake.
All right. I have been breastfeeding my 1-year-old. I'm currently breastfeeding, and I've been breastfeeding for 15 months. My 3-year-old, we breastfed for 22 months, and we ended that journey when I got pregnant with my baby. I don't know why it just repulsed me to breastfeed, and I just stopped cold turkey. And if I had to give one word to explain my journey, I would say empowered.
So, like, I'm gonna stick there. I told y'all this is an informal discussion. You talked about you stopped your journey when you became pregnant with the next baby, and so was it an emotional connection that made you just feel, or was it just mentally you were just exhausted? What made you want to stop in the middle of while you were pregnant?
I don't know what it was, but it actually was kind of gross to me. And I Googled it, and it's something hormonal that can happen in women when they get pregnant. And I felt really bad about it. But he adjusted. Like, I think it took maybe 2 days, and then he just stopped asking. But he still had this thing where he wanted to grab on my boobs. And that still hasn't left him, which sometimes is embarrassing out in public, but yeah.
And so I'm glad you mentioned that when you said it made you feel kind of bad, because we talk about a lot the pressures that we face as women and as Black women around, like, the feelings that we have in our relationships with our babies. And so thank you for being transparent there. And so just starting to talk about your decision to breastfeed. Our bodies just make that decision for us most of the time, but we choose whether we, initiate the journey or continue the journey. So can you both just as a family talk about why you chose to breastfeed?
You click the unmute button.
I don't who's speaking to us? I don't think it was ever really okay. I don't think it was ever really a decision. I haven't always been health conscious, but since college, I kind of became health conscious, and I just knew that was going to be the best decision for us.
He trying to breastfeed now.
Look, that is fine. Rachel?
So you asked what influenced the decision to breastfeed?
Yep.
Yeah, so the program that I mentioned, the Young Mothers Residential Program, I worked as a social work therapist case manager, and one of the young ladies there was adamant about breastfeeding her child, and she was someone that was very connected to well-being, connected to the ancestry. So I think it's really interesting that you mentioned that, Keitra. And just the power of breastfeeding. And she was one of those women who, she would just pull it out wherever you at, in a meeting, in the midst of, outside chilling, girlfriends hanging over at dinner, like it was just one of those things like, I'm gonna pull it out, I'm gonna feed my kid. And that was something that I think a lot of people were taken aback from. But similar to what Lake said, I saw it also as very empowering. And that sparked a conversation, because at the time, I don't think her baby was a year old, but maybe she was close. And I was like, when are you gonna stop breastfeeding your baby? Like, what, and how you just doing this out in public? All these things. And so it made me do research into it, and I began to learn just the I want to say the value, but just all the great benefits that come out of breastfeeding your baby. They talk about from 0 to 6 months to, beyond. And I even learned, up to 2 and 3 years. Like, there's so many valuable things that you give your child from something that's naturally created within you. So that piqued my interest, and I just knew that I wanted to tap into that for my own child years before I had my baby, because I think this was like 2018, 2017, somewhere around that. So yes.
Thank you for that. And that also speaks to kind of the village that you know, Black women create for each other as well. But, you know, she kind of provided that for you, and you continue. See, y'all, this one, he won't go anywhere. So for the guys, when you all just started talking about the discussion about breastfeeding, what thoughts did you have? Did you have any family experiences with breastfeeding before? Was it all new to you? Tell us what you were thinking.
I can't recall having had any family experiences with it, but I grew up in a household that was, my dad in particular, he was big on health. He was big on natural health, naturally healing the body, things like that. So growing up, I kind of adopted some of those things, and it only seemed the most natural way to be able to feed your child is through breastfeeding. So it wasn't until Rachel told me that a lot of people in society find it kind of, it's not off-putting, or it's not socially acceptable, if you will. I didn't realize that, you know, just being a man, that's never really a conversation I've had. So when Rachel told me she wanted to do it, I was like, well, duh. I mean, of course we're doing it. You know what I mean? But I didn't know there was that level of pushback that people would have against breastfeeding and saying, you know, formula is better. I'm of the mindset that it's a God-given blessing to be able to do something like that. That's God's gift to the baby from the mom. You know what I mean? So in my mind, it just made sense that we did that. And we saved a whole lot of money that way as well.
Of course.
So that was important.
Yeah, that's a big one, saving the money. True. Meiko?
I think my experience was the same as DJ. No one in my family breastfed anyone. As far as I was living, I don't know, you know, I grew up with my grandmother. I don't know what they did, you know, when they were coming up, but me, my brothers, no cousins, neighbors, no one was breastfed, and it was the opposite of DJ. There really wasn't a lot of health conscious people in my family. So when I met Lake, we at some point started to make a lot of different choices as far as health and what we ate. I know you can't tell now, but we had stopped eating dairy at one point.
Yeah.
So around that time is the same time she got pregnant, and like he said, it was a no brainer. It's like, yeah, of course, you're gonna breastfeed. I don't even think we had a conversation. I just think it was, yeah, when she just started talking about it, like, yeah, I need to buy a pump and such. It was really wasn't a conversation because um the formula was out of the question because of the milk ingredients. Um, Even when we tried to find some backup formula, just in case he didn't latch, she was still trying to find something that didn't have, you know, milk in it. So I think that's the main reason we breastfed, as well as DJ said, the saving money. That was a major thing, because when my friends got to talking about, you know, $40 and $50 for jars of formula, it was like, oh, okay, we don't have those problems. I'm glad we don't.
Tara, I'm gonna let you chime in if you have any questions while I calm this one down right here.
Yeah, I just find it so interesting, because the way this whole wanting to involve guys, how it came about was like, I think we were like parking lot pimping with some dads or with my fiance, and they were just like, yo, I just feel like I'm not involved in this process at all, especially when it comes to breastfeeding. It just seems, I know for my fiance, his little sister was breastfed, but when it was time for her to be breastfed, she was actually put out of the room. So he was just like, him and the other guys were just like, I feel like I'm not included in this, but I would like to be included in it. And we got into like, how did y'all even, you know, bring up the topic of wanting to breastfeed? And they were just like, honestly, it came down to the money. That was the factor for them. We're saving so much money. And logically for guys, I think that just makes sense. And it was not like a matter of like, are we gonna do it? It's just a matter of like, you know, how does it really just come down to getting done? Like, how do I provide the support? So that was really, really interesting to me that both of you all stated it was a no-brainer.
And you know, that's really helpful to hear, you know, that kind of support, like, okay, we're gonna do it and let's go on. Y'all know I tie everything to history, but like Black women, our bodies have been so sexualized in society that, you know, often society doesn't even see our bodies as, you know, able to produce this type of milk and nourishment for our babies. And so, guys, were there any fears, misconceptions that you had around breastfeeding?
I don't know if I had any fears per se. I thought I was just as we were going along in the pregnancy process, Rachel uh, decided that we should learn as much about it as possible, and so we got involved in a course that taught, you know, the whole pregnancy process and everything that happens in between, so on and so forth. And one of the challenges was, or one of the concerns was, will the baby be able to latch? You know, and I don't know how that works per se, but you know, that was kind of one of the conversations we had. What will we do if the baby doesn't want to latch? How long will it take? You know, and the challenges that emotionally that Rachel might experience as a result of, say, something like that happening. So I mean, that was, I guess that was our biggest concern. Or and then the challenge of maybe running out of milk too soon or not creating enough milk and having to supplement with formula. I do remember those moments, those conversations. Fortunately, throughout most of Zen's first year, mom was able to produce pretty well, so we were fortunate.
Thank you. Meiko, did you have any fears, misconceptions that you had to kind of get over as y'all got ready to go on your journey?
No, not really. I just didn't want people staring, well, men staring at her tatas when we're out in public. So I used to kind of be like a shield. I'm like, just stand behind me. I'm gonna read this book and you just do your thing behind me, and I got you. But other than that, uh, sometimes she would mention towards the time because Chief, um, he wouldn't eat solid food. Um, he would have a gag reflex whenever he ate anything or whenever we tried to feed him anything. So it got to a point where I may have been worried that, you know, was he getting enough, you know.
Help me with something. Pardon me, so.
Well, I think we lost Lake and Meiko for a moment. I don't know if that was my internet.
I think no, because I don't see him either.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll give it just a second. And
Did I just get like super dark all of a sudden here? Can you?
yeah, you're dark where you are. We'll give it just a second.
Okay. It's so dark all of a sudden.
We are not afraid of technology. We are not afraid of technology failing us. That's just what happens sometimes, and that is okay. So just bear with us for a second.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when he was saying like when they were in public. I know for myself when you know when I was breastfeeding AC, I was a single mom at the time, so it was really just me and my little brother. He kind of really stepped in with that aspect. So I know us going in public, it was rough. We had people following us. I remember because he was in high school, so I remember me taking him back to school shopping. And AC was about a year old at that point. And like this guy was staring so hard, he ended up falling in a trash can. It was just bad. I remember having multiple conversations with my brother because he would get so upset. But I think once I started educating him, just letting him know, because he would be like, "Why you pulling your breasts out like right here in public?" And I'm just like, "She gotta eat." And so I started educating him and he started getting more interested in it. And before you know it, he had turned into like a full blown like advocate for mothers. And him and his friends wanting to start like an initiative. They started going in the community and wanting to create something about Black moms being able to breastfeed freely. Like he was so just enraged about the responses of me just breastfeeding in public, and how men would just be so interested. And it was just powerful to see him rise up the way that he did.
Yeah, I agree. Like that was I think when I first started with my first one, that was like the issue. I try to get a cover all the time, you know, I'm trying to
Take it
be
off.
politically correct all the time, make sure it all you know, everything is fine. Find like this back boob front and everything. And then when that second one came, he didn't like the cover, and I was just like, forget it. You know what? You get what you get. And my husband was just like, you know what? Do what you do. So we get it, Meiko. We were just following up on what you were talking about you know, kind of how it felt, you know, if people were looking and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add? I know you kind of dropped off. It was getting good, and
Yeah. I don't know what I was. I don't remember what
You
I
were
was
saying
saying.
how we were addressing the fears and concerns, and you were saying how the only
Oh
thing.
yeah. I wasn't just worried about it, but it would cross my mind. What if she stopped producing?
No,
before?
we're talking about like if someone looked at my breast while we were out.
Oh no, but that wasn't what I was saying
That's
before
what
it cut off.
Go ahead.
I don't know should I resume where I was at, or
No, you go
are we
ahead.
talking about?
About breastfeeding and people looking at the boobs when we're out in public. That's what they're talking
Okay.
about. We're entering into the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still don't know where to start.
I'm sorry, y'all. Our laptop did something crazy. So
No, it's fine.
yes, I promise it's fine. Well, let's shift a little bit. Those into that, like initiating breastfeeding, those first few hours, they're really critical, and it's almost a wave of emotions. So, did y'all have any issues initiating breastfeeding? That's for mom. Any issues initiating latch, anything like that in those first few hours? And dad, how did you support? If so.
we definitely had issues. They weren't horrible, but I mean, as soon as the kids came out, they both latched. I mean, while they were still stitching me up and doing their thing, they were latching. Never had an issue with that. But of course, you know, you have to have so many wet diapers and so many poops and things like that before you leave the hospital. And I can remember with my first son just being so distraught and upset, like, I cannot believe y'all are about to make me give my son formula. I'm feeding him right now. And I can just remember all the pressure to feel like I needed to pump X amount of milk. And you know, the colostrum, you're not going to get a whole bunch of that in the very beginning. Yeah, they did it with both kids. And so we winded up giving my son soy milk because I didn't want to give him dairy, just because dairy kind of upsets me. So I figured he might be that way. And I probably cried when that happened. And he actually wasn't there in the room. That's a whole nother story why he wasn't there. Sometimes dads have medical emergencies during the childbirth process.
Go into this story.
So he wasn't there. But then with my youngest, the same thing happened. And at that point, I had already been through it before, so I knew, don't get upset, because this is just going to be one bottle for the rest of his life. He'll never have to have formula again. And so, I think we gave him like the most hypoallergenic formula they had, and that was the last time he had formula. So those were the only issues we really had in the beginning.
Now, Meiko, we're gonna hang here for a second. I want to ask you how you support it, but she brought it up. She said you had a medical first.
So the night before she was supposed to deliver, I ordered some fish from the cafeteria, and the fish made me sick. So they're making fun of me because they think it's nerves. And I'm like, I'm not nervous. I was literally throwing up every 15 minutes while she was in labor. So it's like I'm going between holding her hand, you know, trying to make sure she's okay, and then running to the bathroom to throw up. And as soon as she delivered, I went to the ER.
in my wheelchair. They had to give him my wheelchair.
So they had to give me, I forgot what they gave me, but I was in the ER 4 hours after she gave birth.
Yep.
She was by herself for 4 hours after giving birth.
And you wore a mask before there was a pandemic. They made her wear a
I had
mask.
to wear a mask and everything.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
I thought
fine.
I thought it was going towards you got a little nervous too, but look, we
no,
glad
I
you
wasn't,
came.
I wasn't nervous at all. I sat there, watched them come out, and everything was fine. And saw all the bits and stuff that go on. And I was fine. It was the fish that got me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
thank you for sharing that. Rachel and DJ talking about initiating breastfeeding, any challenges, and DJ, how you may have supported.
Well, similarly, he did latch on shortly after he was born, which was great. I think probably the initial challenge was figuring out how to hold him, because I'm laughing. I remember, they brought him out and I had all the emotion, and they just immediately put him on the boob, and I'm like, oh, he's doing it. Sorry, my dog's trying to get in on the live too. But I'm like, oh, he's doing it. And then I had a doula, and she was like, he looks a little blue. So I don't think I was holding him in the right way where he was able to breathe. So that was a real challenge, just figuring out like how to position him, what was the best position, because there's so many different ones. We probably bought like 3 different breastfeeding pillows, which I think I ended up using none of those. I just used regular pillows on the bed. So there was a lot. The mechanics of it all was definitely difficult. And even the mechanics, that's why I said exhausting. I didn't realize, I guess, not having gone through the experience. And I did research, but it's one thing to read stuff, it's another thing to go through it. Which I love what Tara, I want to make sure I'm saying Tara properly, is doing with her business, because it's so necessary to have that support to understand what's actually going on. So I say all that to say, I didn't realize in the beginning the importance of being consistent with the breastfeeding, whether he was eating or not. And so with the pumping, and that was something that was difficult to figure out too, because you're just tired. But in order for you to be successful, you have to either feed or pump. And then, of course, returning back to work, that's a whole nother thing. So, DJ, how did you support me through all those challenges?
Oh my God, it was a nightmare. Let me start from the beginning.
Goodness.
No, I'm kidding. It was an adventure. It was definitely a learning experience for me. It was a learning experience for both of us. I mean, this is our first kid. And so, you see the videos and all the explanations and things like that. But I mean, then the baby is here and real life is happening. And, it's 3:30 in the morning and the baby's not happy. You know what I mean? And you're not either, because normally, you were getting sleep. And now suddenly you're beginning to realize that life will never be the same again. So I think for me personally, just accepting that, not that I was fighting it, but it's a reality. Like, this has happened. I'm here, he's here, and he's not going anywhere. All right. And when he's hungry, I don't care how good that sleep is, or how tired you are, as a father, as a mother, we've got that responsibility. And so just adjusting for this little one right here, it's definitely been an adventure. And did you ask ways that I supported? I think maybe definitely, and I'm sure Meiko can agree. It's definitely a team effort. Just kind of, I'm at her call. I'm at her beck and call. So if she says, "Babe, I'm too tired to feed him. Can you give him some milk?" Doing that, or changing the diaper. So we kind of. The idea was to allow her to pump and to feed, and then I would do everything else, for a spell. Didn't necessarily work out that way, but that was the goal originally when we first started experiencing that. But I do think that a lot of times I have to get him, hold on to him for a little bit. But I mean, he really just wanted mama, and so it was like, what could I do? Because I see mom struggling. He's fighting to latch on. He's crying. So it was tough to kind of watch that. So I tried to help in other ways that I could.
Yeah, and that's what I really wanted to ask both of you, because I mean, breastfeeding is, of course, nourishment number one, but the second piece of it is that bonding that mom gets, and then baby just wanting mama, because he or she can just lay up under mama, smell that milk, and get access to to food supply 24/7. And that is tiring. Rachel has mentioned exhausting a couple of times. That's a lot. And so DJ, you mentioned kind of giving a bottle sometimes, but how do y'all deal with it? How you deal with it when both of y'all are still in the middle of it, but when baby only wants mom and you want to support in some way?
Yeah, say what you
Meiko,
said.
you want to take that one, bro?
No, say what you said.
With Chief, Lake pumped a lot. She used to store a lot of milk, so it really wasn't. I don't think he really cared where it came from for a stretch of time. So I would feed him. Like we had to warm the milk up in the bag. Oh man, I don't want to get into wasting milk. Oh my goodness, don't waste. Do not waste milk. That's the cardinal sin number one. Do not waste no milk. If you waste some milk, you won't be sleeping on the couch. But I would warm the milk up. I think we bought little warmers and everything. We bought all kinds of stuff that we didn't even use the second time around, or buy the second time around. But I would warm it up and I would feed him. But with Maverick, he stuck to her. So it's kind of like my hands are kind of tied with how much I can help. I can just do little like chores or whatever she need done, pass her different things or go get different things for her while he's stuck to her. Because Maverick is big. He's the size of a 2-year-old. He's only 15 months. He's like in 99th percentile or something. So he's a lot to carry around. So sometimes when she asks me for stuff, it's cool. I'll just do whatever I can do to help her. But I don't remember it being like that with Chief. I think it was kind of interchangeable for the most, other than that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of interchangeable with Chief.
Yeah, you helped a lot though. This is a really good conversation that we're having, because I was reflecting on some of the questions, and it showed me how good of a man I got.
All right now, Meiko. Yeah, but that is because we are in such a gendered society that says man has to do this, woman has to do that. But both of you are speaking to the need to balance that out, especially during that breastfeeding journey. Now, DJ, Rachel was calling you out on something. I'm not going to call you out, but if you want to share what you were saying, we will definitely take it. You don't have to censor yourself if you don't want to.
I'm gonna help. He said, "What were we talking about?" So you asked the question like, "What do you do when the baby wants mom and y'all both tired and she's doing all she got to do for breastfeeding?" And you said,
"I said you love her. You love her as much as you can."
No, what you said.
Nah, I won't lie. Listen, I had moments where the baby was just crying and he wouldn't stop because he wanted mama. And there were moments where there was nothing I could do. So I did nothing. I would just turn around in the bed and just go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Because, what more can I do in that moment? Baby, I asked, baby, what can I do? I want to hold him. I want to be there for him. But as men, as a mother, there's just that natural bond, that biological bond that I don't have with him yet. You know what I mean? And it's especially in that way. And so in those moments, there really isn't anything I can do. and maybe I could have stayed up and just talked to her. So I don't know. There were moments where I would, do other things, but then there were moments where I would just go to sleep. Just gonna put it out there.
You said one good thing though, just stay up and talk. That's big, because that turning your back pop on that head because mama is up breastfeeding. But thank you for your honesty and transparency though, because we do want everything that you're saying is supportive to another man in this journey. Now going back to work, as we get ready, we'll be wrapping up shortly, but going back to work, I know that has been maybe a challenge if you're working outside of the home, and y'all got babies, pandemic babies, so maybe you were not outside of the home. But moms, can you speak to the challenges of going back to work?
So our situation is kind of unique. We both work from home, so we didn't really have to adjust a lot when it comes down to that. Like I could sit there and do my graphics and work while breastfeeding. So that really wasn't much of a challenge, but I can pull from like a past experience where I had to go DJ somewhere, and yeah, and then my husband was working somewhere else. Sorry, my baby just fell. Yeah, so I could pull from a past experience where I had to go DJ, and my husband just really assured me that everything was going to be okay, because you get that mom guilt sometimes when you have to leave. And that's something he's constantly assuring me of, like, Lake, I can take care of the kids, chill out, go do what you got to do. So that's how I think he really supported me. And also, I think that speaks to another point of I'm just so grateful that financially he pulled all of the weight, so that I didn't really feel the pressure to have to go find a job somewhere or to get more clients. He really just allowed for me to truly enjoy the breastfeeding experience.
Thank you for that. That's really important though, because when we go on this journey, we don't even think about all that. Like you have a baby, and it's like all Pandora's boxes opened up, and all these things, even with the breastfeeding journey, like going back to work and doing all those things, you don't even think about them until it starts sneaking up on you. So thank you for bringing up that financial component. Rachel, what about you going back to work?
So I'm a person, I like to do research and reading. And I remember reading an article about breastfeeding saying that women can spend anywhere, up to 40 hours a week consumed in all the different things that come along with breastfeeding your child, especially if you're exclusively breastfeeding. And so entering work, I knew I had to advocate for myself early on. So I work at a school. Fortunately, I won't say I'm not a teacher, but that's really what the first thing that came to my mind. I'm an administrator. I work as a school counselor, so I have a little bit more flexibility in my schedule. But even still, I knew that I would have to advocate, because they still have expectations for you to fulfill certain duties and responsibilities, so on and so forth. So I went in with a game plan of like, these are the things that I need when I return. And made sure that I followed the proper processes to make sure that would happen. I think probably the biggest piece is just managing that worry of making sure that your child has enough food while you're at work, because it's just, it's not much you can do. You can't just leave in the middle of the day to feed your child, even though that's something that you want to do, that you want to be focused on. So a big kudos to Meiko for being able to create that environment, for that was one less thing that Lake had to worry about. Oftentimes at work, that mom guilt does kick in, because you got to work, but you also know you got to make sure that you're producing enough milk. And there were times that sometimes work took over that responsibility. I'd have it on my calendar, this is the time we're going to do this. Like I said, I had the flexibility to do so. But once you get back into that environment and you kind of this could just be me. You want to, not be the stereotype of, once they're a mother, they can't do the job just as well or as, efficiently or as effectively. And so you begin to, for me, like I said, I tried to balance that. So it was challenging, pumping at work. I had a portable pump. Sometimes I would be pumping in front of other people, students, and they, be looking, it was covert, but it still was like, what's that? So yeah, it was an interesting experience, but it was something I was dedicated to. And I knew, again, kind of just connected back to my reason, my why, like it was something that I had to do. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And thank you for just lifting up the pressure of like trying to still perform. But the data does say that, when women have a supportive work environment, that they are better producers when it comes to their work. And then when you're able to breastfeed and pump as you need at work, then you have that environment so that you can produce, in your career. So thank you for lifting that up. We are going to get ready to move into some questions in the comments. But before we do, Tara, I want to turn it back over to you, see if you had any additional questions or comments.
No, it's just a simple fact. I'm just reflecting because I am in the process of at least trying to plan for a new baby. And so I wish my fiance was here. So I'm going to send him this because like, he's just like, I want to know what other dads, this will be his first like biological child. So he's just like, I want to know what other dads are saying. I want to get connected. And I'm pretty sure like going back to work is probably going to be challenging. He's just like, you want to breastfeed. I haven't really ever just been a part of that experience. So I don't know how I'm going to show up, but I'm committed to showing up for you in a way that's uplifting. But I know it's going to be kind of uncomfortable for me, especially since I'm pro extended breastfeeding. He's just like, at a certain age, like you need to take that boob out that baby's mouth. So I know we're going to have some conversations and there's going to be some pushback, but I just love how you all showed up for the moms because it's so important. I feel like support can make or break your experience because it's just like at the hospital when you have people coming in and out, like nobody told me that people are going to be coming in and out. I'm trying to get some sleep. I just have to like realize that a baby just came out of me and I already have to breastfeed and there's no nursery. And if something goes wrong with the baby, you have to immediately start pumping. And it's just like, I'm trying to make sure I'm okay. And then the pressure of feeling like you're not performing or they're trying to push formula on you and you've already stated in your birth plan or verbally that this is not something that I want to do. And we focus so much on actually getting the baby out that we forget that we have this baby for the rest of our lives and breastfeeding is such a huge part of it. That it's just crazy. So I know it's a crazy experience for the mom. So I can only imagine how it is for the guys because it's like, the baby don't want you at all. I don't feel like I'm here to do anything but talk to you. Now we arguing and we fussing because it's just like I want to help, but I don't know what to do, and I feel like I'm getting in the way. So I love the conversations, and I just love how you all are showing up because there's so many dads who are interested in what will other dads do or what did they do.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Tara. And just just this whole Black maternal health as a whole, just you all showing up on screen and showing how you support, whether that's out in public and you trying to make sure she's not getting ugly looks, or whatever. That's all important. We keep talking about protecting Black women and supporting Black women. So showing up is just as important as lifting your voice. So we appreciate that tonight. Let's get to a couple of I think I see two. So Aaron Bracy says, how are you able to manage and stay motivated to breastfeed while working full time, especially during early morning feeding, pumping when you're truly exhausted? I'm a new mom and I have a hard time staying on schedule during the early morning sessions because I'm so exhausted. Either of you can take that.
Well, Aaron, I definitely feel you. That's a valid question. I mean, my motivation was I just knew the benefit. Like when Kaizen was maybe 6 or 7 months, he spiked the fever. Maybe it might have been 8 months. He spiked the fever. And we took him to the doctor and we found out he had an ear infection. And obviously as a mother, you're like, oh, my child is sick. Like, oh my goodness, how did this happen? How did I even catch it? Because it was like the signs were there, but I didn't realize they were the signs until it was like, okay, fever, we need to go see a doctor. And I remember the doctor, sharing with us that she was so impressed that this was the first time that he had an ear infection. You remember that? And the reason she attributed it, the reason for that was because of the breastfeeding. And so, okay, he's ready for some Kaizen time. But anyway, it was things like that, along with when he did get sick, which there was a time where like he was sick for a while, we put him in daycare. And it was like, mild symptoms, runny nose, kind of mild cough. It wasn't like severe, but it was enough for you to be like, oh, he's uncomfortable. I don't want him going through this. But I would see the power of how nursing helped him get through that, a lot sooner, where it wasn't something that he struggled with through most of his life. It was just, for a moment. So I would say that's what motivated me. I would take my naps when I need to take my naps. So I guess that goes back to having a partner. When I got off of work, it was sleep time. And that's when DJ stepped in and helped take care of Kaizen and did all the things. He also takes the baby to school. So with him being in IT, he has the flexibility to help out in a lot of those areas every morning. So that was one less thing. So I have to echo too that I'm blessed to have the partner that I have, along with just the knowledge of like, this is it. Obviously, no shade to formula because your baby has to be fed. It has to be fed. But if you can and you're willing, it's so valuable.
Thank you, Rachel. Lake, did you want to add anything?
I never really went through the whole process of having to go to work and being separated from my baby, but there's something that my friend told me, which I think you know her, Dr. Burst. Her name is Shelly. She told me, how did she say it? She was like, don't let anything stop you from breastfeeding, not even yourself. And so I just kept that theme in my head, and it just became like non-negotiable that this was what I was going to do. Now, I didn't really have extreme complications, so it was pretty much easy to push through any problems we had. But that might be a good quote to just kind of keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to echo what you ladies were saying. I love that Rachel said earlier that being dedicated. For myself, I know I became so dedicated, not just to breastfeeding, but educating about breastfeeding. And so once I, was breastfeeding and I started educating those around me, they started to go research. And when they started to go research, they're just like, whoa, everybody should be breastfeeding. And so those people started holding me accountable. They started sending me, when I'm up at 3:00 in the morning, sending me motivational, quotes and things about, keeping the process going, because it was so important for them, because they're just like, you're the only person I know that's breastfeeding. You got to continue going. And so that was the best thing for me. I got to the point I left one of my jobs because I was just like, y'all not allowing me to breastfeed, and this is important to me. And so I think when I did that, the people around me, they kind of turned up. They're just like, yo, we got to make sure she continues this journey. And they held me accountable. And that's how I got to 3 years with AC.
Yeah, thank you, Tara. And that is like just having that support just in your network too is just, it's unmatched. It really is, because it is so hard. I remember one of my friends, she was breastfeeding and she was having a hard time with her first baby. Now, I ain't got no kind of certifications or anything. All I got is my experience. I'm over her house trying to help her get the baby to latch and all kinds of stuff, because you want people to do it. They want to do it. You want people to do it. So The second question that I see is, Natoya, do you think it's beneficial to set a breastfeeding goal, or is that too much pressure? One or both, either.
I think Rachel would be good for that question because she mentioned setting goals at work with breastfeeding.
Sorry, y'all. Cousin turning up over here. We gonna rotate. We gonna rotate.
Oh, I know that little falling out. I don't even miss that piece at all. I saw that little curve in his back. But I will say too, just to fill in a little bit, setting a goal. I think if you're anticipating it being such a hard journey, then maybe setting a goal is important. At least, thinking about 6 months, trying to get to 6 months, trying to, you reach that milestone. I've done good, so then you keep going. So if that's what helps keep you motivated, then absolutely. And y'all, we're gonna wrap up here, because y'all see my kids bouncing around. I saw AC come in, Kai's, all these babies, they are done with us. Okay, so let's go on and wrap up. Tell me just very quickly, what advice as a couple you would give. And Rachel, I know that you can speak for DJ. So just any advice that you would give families during this to support each other during this time.
Well, I would say first things first, to all the moms, to trust your body. And I love how you mentioned, Keitra, about the community. Build your community, and stay encouraged. I have to laugh. My sister had a baby 9 days after I had mine. It totally unplanned, and she very much was like, 3 months and I'm done breastfeeding. Then it was, all right, 6 months I'm done. But I think because we went through the journey together, she's still now breastfeeding 12 months later. And so I think, like I said, trusting your body, trusting the process, and keeping that community going. What's your advice?
My advice to the fellas would be to make a list. Identify, sit down with your wife, and the list will grow as you go along, because you'll learn new things that you'll wind up wanting to do to enhance your woman's life, the life of your baby, the whole family kind of thing. And so, kind of have it like a to-do list of the things that you can do. Of the things that you can do to help your lady out, because I've seen Rachel just exhausted, and she's unbelievably active at work already. So imagine, pumping in the morning and coming home from work, after a long day with a ton of students and different challenges there, to then have to come home, and then you've got a baby that needs you, who don't want daddy right now. And so, but then she also has her own personal goals. She also was thinking about cooking. She's thinking about, the household, is clean, things like that. And so kind of taking up that mantle and just relieving her of some of those duties, you know what I mean? If it's, washing clothes, being the person that washes the clothes, or washes the dishes, or, picks up the food, just whatever, because I don't cook. So picks up the food, whatever it is, and just kind of keeping note of that, and just being able to do those things without having to ask her. Because I know, for instance, with Rachel, after a certain period of time, she kind of wants me to know certain things. Like, you've been doing this long enough. You should know to do this. And so I forget. And so that's why just having a list right in front of me really kind of helps in that regard. It makes life a lot easier, fellas.
Thank you, DJ. Lake and Meiko.
Be turning around staring at me.
I would say keep an open mind and just be resourceful, because you might run into problems, but try to just, again, be resourceful, outthink your situation. And also, don't let the negative experiences that other people have project onto what your experience is going to be like. Just take it, I think, with a grain of salt or as a grain of salt. I don't know how the phrase goes, but don't take it too serious and just go into it with a positive mindset. And even if you have a setback, just push through. Dad.
Man, I don't know how I made it through. I was living on a prayer. You gotta pray just to make it today.
It wasn't that bad.
Well, thank y'all. Tara, did you have anything before I wrap it all the way up?
Yeah, just my thing I would say is just like make sure mom and dad are both like taking care of yourselves. I know it's hard because like I feel like I haven't been to the bathroom by myself in years. But making sure you're taking time for yourself and addressing your mental health. I think only recently did I discover that men do sometimes suffer from postpartum depression, and that's something that I learned from a guy. I didn't know that at all, and I've been doing this for at least about 3 years, and I was like, it's no studies out there about it. Really, but it's actually a huge thing. So dads, please make sure you're addressing your mental health as well.
Thank you for that. I'm just happy because I'm happy to see everybody on the screen. I'm happy to see the support. I'm happy to see just even how y'all look at each other. Just keep it up. I'm just really enjoying this, and I'm enjoying the real life of it too. Everybody is here in your element, and you showed up however you could show up, and just able to give us your true and real selves in your breastfeeding journey. So I really, really, really appreciate you all sharing. Tara and I appreciate you coming on, taking time. I know it's late in the evening. So we just appreciate it. And that's all we have, y'all. We just, again, thank everyone for joining. And Kashana said we needed this, and we did. Thank you. And y'all have a great night.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a great evening.
Bye, y'all.
See everyone later.
Bye, guys.